Okay, so let's proceed sa bagong technique of integration. Tapos na tayo sa IBP. So the next is the trigonometric substitution. So there are three cases in trigonometric substitution. So if the integrand contains the form a squared minus u squared, then use u is equal to a sine theta. Number 2, if the integrand contains the form u squared minus a squared, then use u is equal to a secant theta. And lastly, number 3, if the integrand contains the form u squared plus a squared, then use u is equal to a tangent theta. Okay, reminder lang, this is commutative, so kung nauna yung a squared, okay lang, gagamitin pa rin natin to. Okay. So note, u is a differentiable function of x, and then a is any constant number. So let's try examples. Example number 1, the integral of x squared dx over square root of 4 minus x squared. So sulat lang natin. Number 1, the integral of x squared dx all over the square root of 4 minus x squared. Okay, so if we look at our denominator, meron siyang, this takes the form of a squared minus u squared. So this can be written as the square root of 2 squared minus x squared. So, yung a natin is equal to 2 and yung u natin is equal to x. Therefore, yung iti-take natin is, or yung gagamitin natin will be u is equal to a sine theta according to case 1 tayo, di ba? So, yan. Ito. We have a squared minus u squared. So, gagamitin natin si a sine theta. Since u is equal to x, then this will be equal to what is a? That will be 2. 2 sine theta. So, ito ngayon yung isubstitute natin sa lahat ng x dito sa integrand. Okay. So, we try to replace si x by this one. 2 sine theta quantity squared. Wait lang. Kailangan pa rin natin kunin si dx. Kasi dapat lahat ng variables natin will be in terms of theta. So, our dx will be equal to, derive natin to, this will be 2. Derivative of sine theta is cosine theta. So, if we try to replace yung mga x's natin, this will be equal to 2 sine theta quantity squared. And then, yung dx natin will be 2 cosine theta all over the square root of 4 minus our x, that is 2 sine theta quantity squared. Okay. Meron palang d theta dito. I forgot. Sorry. Okay. So, from here, we simplify. This will be equal to 4 sine squared theta times 2 cosine theta d theta all over the square root of 4 minus 4 sine squared theta. Okay. So, from there, simplify ulit natin. This will be equal to 4 sine squared theta times 2 cosine theta d theta all over, we can yan. That will be, factor out natin si 4, and then this will be equal to 1 minus sine squared theta. Okay. So, from there, sorry. Tuloy natin dito sa kabila. Okay. So, from there, we can, pwede na nating ilabas to from the radical sign, radical symbol. Kasi square root of 4 is equal to 2 naman, and multiplication naman yung operation niya. So, this will be equal to 4 sine squared theta times 2 cosine theta d theta all over square root of 4 is 2. And then square root of 1 minus sine squared theta. So we can cancel this one. Yan na lang. Okay, so we will be left with 4 sine squared theta d theta all over 1 minus sine squared theta. Okay, so if you recall your trigonometric identities on the Pythagorean relations, si 1 minus sine squared theta is equal to cosine squared theta. Okay, so recall na lang natin dito. Recall sine squared x plus cosine squared x is equal to 1. Okay? So if we are going to manipulate this one, i-manipulate natin to, and then pagsamahin natin si sine squared x and si 1, this will be equal to cosine squared x 1 minus sine squared x, which takes the form, ito, parehas lang siya. However, meron siyang square root. Pero, if we take the square root of both sides, makakancel si squared dyan. So, we will be left with cosine x equal to the square root of 1 minus sine squared x. Okay? So, ngayon, since this one is the same as this one, pwede nating palitan to with cosine theta, since theta naman yung variable na ginagamit natin. So, this will be equal to 4 sine squared theta d theta all over, dito pala, all over a square root of 1 minus sine squared theta is equal to cosine theta. Okay? So, from there, I forgot to write something dito. Sorry. Meron pa pala tayong, yan, si cosine theta. And then d theta. So, pati pala dito. Wait lang. Okay. So, dito pala dapat ilagay si cosine theta. And then d theta. So, we can cancel this one. Okay. Since multiplication naman. So, we will be left with, yun na lang, 4 sine squared theta d theta. So, now, pwede na tayong mag-integrate. Okay? So, pwede nating i-isolate si constant. So, this will be equal to 4 times the integral of sine squared theta d theta. So, looking at your formula sheet, the integral of sine squared theta d theta is equal to, sa trigonometric functions tayo. So, this will be equal to 4 times 1/2 theta plus, minus pala. Minus 1/4 sine 2 theta and then plus c. So, simplify lang natin. This will be equal to 2 theta minus sine 2 theta plus c. So, ito na ngayon yung integral ng function natin with respect to theta. Pero ang hinahanap natin na final answer is with respect to x. So, kailangan nating ibalik si theta sa x. But how? How do we do that? Okay. So, tignan natin tong part na to. Si x over 2, that will be x is equal to 2 sine theta. So, recall natin si Pythagorean theorem. Dapat alam natin yung theories about this one. Yung principles niya. So, ilagay natin dito si theta. And then, if we write this one, we can have x over 2 is equal to sine theta. And, recall natin yung SOHCAHTOA natin. Since sine ito, ibig sabihin sine theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So, yung opposite natin is x. Since dito natin nilagay yung angle, yung opposite natin will be this one. And our hypotenuse is 2. So, if we are going to compute for the adjacent side, this will be equal to 2 squared is equal to 4. So, that will be equal to 4 minus x squared. Okay, so yung general formula ng Pythagorean theorem natin will be c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. B squared being the unknown side, c being the hypotenuse, and a being x. Okay? So, meron tayong nakuha dito. So, from there, pwede nating kunin yung value ng ating theta. Okay? So, yung theta natin dito will be equal to arc sine x over 2. Okay? So, arc sine x over 2 yung ipapalit natin sa part na ito. However, si sine 2 theta, wala tayong value ng 2 theta. Okay? So, ang gagawin natin is, kunin natin yung identity ng sine 2 theta natin. So, dapat magaling ka sa identities dito sa part na to. So, yung sine 2 theta natin, anong pwede nating i-substitute? Ayun, yung double angle formulas. So, recall, ito ko na lang ilagay. Recall ulit. Sine 2a is equal to 2 sine a cosine a. Okay? So, yun yung ipapalit natin dito sa part na to. So, this will be equal to 2 theta minus 2 sine theta cosine theta from the identities and then plus c. So, from here, pwede na nating i-substitute c arc sine x over 2 sa mga theta dito. So, this will be equal to 2 arc sine x over 2 yan, minus 2 arc sine x over 2. No, sorry. That will only be yan. Si x over 2 na lang. Kasi sine theta pala yan. So, this will be x over 2. Now, what is cosine theta? Again, magbe-base ulit tayo dito sa Pythagorean theorem natin. If we recall, cosine theta, opposite over hypotenuse. So, our cosine theta will be opposite, that is x over, hindi pala opposite. Ka pala yun. So, towa. So, adjacent over hypotenuse. So, yung adjacent natin is the square root of 4 minus x squared over our hypotenuse, that is 2. So, yun yung ilalagay natin dito. Square root of 4 minus x squared all over 2. And then plus c. Okay, so our final answer will be, this will cancel. Our final answer would be 2 arc sine x over 2 minus x times the square root of 4 minus x squared over 2 plus c. So, this is the final answer for example number 1 in trigonometric substitution.